Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We've got everybody in the house today, including some people in the actual house today.
Yeah.
Mike is up visiting.
Coming
Uh,
from inside the
You see, he
house.
Yeah.
says visiting, but I see squatters' rights.
I'm staking that ground in between your part of the house and the main house. I'm just gonna inhabit it, make it my own, like Schmeagol in my
You're
dark
gonna
cave.
you're gonna you're gonna take over the murder basement. That's gonna become your domain.
Yeah.
it's just gonna lock you down there. Maybe
Just don't put me in the slave closet.
maybe throw some slop down there if you've been good.
Mike's gonna just come up from there with no hair, on all fours, and a live fish in his mouth, and you're gonna be like, "Where the fuck did that fish come from?"
Say the
Then you're
the
gonna
old,
look at the cistern.
yeah, the old
Go,
cistern
oh, no.
is down there, so that has become Precious's cave.
My precious.
Speaking of the precious, we let's just jump right into it because people were asking questions before we started recording, so it's on everybody's mind. I mean, we're today
Don't use
the
everybody.
theme of
Some of
the
us
theme
don't
of
want to know.
the theme of today's show though is just like how can we brain poison ourselves? How can we get as gamer mad TM as we possibly can? So
Make me play an online competitive game.
this week we're coming this week's recording is coming off the heels of the release of so far the worst game of the year
And the worst handheld console
announcement that there will be. That is where we will get to. That is where my brain will fully go off the deep end. But we are talking. So let's talk a little bit about Lord of the Rings Gollum first. I personally have. I get caught in between these two. It's my Gollum half and my Smeagol half. I'm caught between this. Like I never want to see a game fail, right? I don't like to see creatives' efforts, go to these
No, that's a lie.
depths.
There are crypto games I absolutely like to see
Sure,
fail.
okay, but I don't even really count. I don't count those
there's
as
no
games.
creativity there.
Yeah. But it's just like you can tell that these people had passion for the source material, that this was, aside from the pricing of this game aside, it wasn't necessarily like a cash grab in that way. But then I'm just having so much fun reading terrible reviews because I mean it's just like, the vindication of being like of seeing that footage so long ago now and being like, this looks so bad, like this should not exist. And just, I've been enjoying seeing the ridiculous memes and the glitches and all that. So Mike bit the bullet for us a little bit and played like an hour of the game
I
this
sat
morning.
down and played the worst game ever. But like, as I was saying to Ben, while I was playing, the concept is great. I really like the idea of playing, Gollum and Smeagol, getting to choose and convince your other half to act the way that you want. And like making those, in a sense, morality choices. Really cool concept. The execution was doo-doo trash. We
Boy, howdy,
the
Mike. If that sounds interesting to you, do the Telltale games sound like your type of poison?
Yeah, but I really like the idea in like a source material that I have previous interest and knowledge in. It's a cool idea, cool concept. But
Don't be hating
you know,
on Telltale games, Matt. No Telltale
Well,
game slander in the chat.
I will stay hating on Telltale games.
Hell
That is
no.
just a visual novel for people who think they're not weebs.
See, there's nothing wrong with a visual novel every now and
No,
again.
I'm more calling them out for not acknowledging who they truly are on the
Oh,
inside.
okay,
Not
He's mad they
accepting.
won't accept themselves.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't like visual novels. That's weeb shit. Plays Telltale games.
So there's one thing about the discourse with Gollum that like what's pissing me off. People are like just show a fundamental misunderstanding of the source material when they're like, why would you play as Gollum? Like, why? That's like the most random character choice possibly
Main
ever make.
character.
And it's like, in terms of the themes of the actual story, Gollum is the central character. The plot revolves around Gollum and Gollum's choices and the things that has happened to Gollum. So like he is the true tragic figure of the series, and making a stealth game obviously is incredibly fitting for his characterization, his physicality, makes a whole lot of sense, but just
Ah,
like
man, a
the
beat 'em
level
up with
design.
Gollum. Could you imagine Gollum just jumping on him and just wailing on orcs?
You do get to choke people. I got to choke some orcsuses.
I watched the skill up uh um review, and he said he did that choke out twice in his entire playthrough. It's like
Hilarious.
you do it the once where
Yeah,
they teach you how to
fair.
do it, where they teach you
And
how to
then
do it
once more.
in the tutorial, and
So
then
here's
he's like,
what
I
you
did it
do.
one more time.
You take away all the stealth mechanics and you just make it Arkham combat with Gollum. Gollum is
Sure, there'll be a
swinging
mod of
between
that
the
sort.
enemies.
Like,
No, my favorite part was when you're stealthing around and you go hidden in the grass and like you crouch down in the grass to hide from the
Cancel.
orcsuses. You go into blackface and you just become a minstrel.
Oh
You know,
no.
he's just a minstrel act in the grass. You know, no more pale skin Gollum. He is
Because of
just
like how they
total.
did the lighting.
Yeah,
it's
because
it's
it's like
meant to
try to make him
signify
invisible.
yeah, that he's invisible when he is in the,
Uh
can't be detected when he's in the
Yeah,
shadows.
you know how like in
got it,
Assassin's
got
Creed
it.
they give you like that yellow glow that like
Yeah, yeah.
that like that
Shows you
type
that
of
you're
shit.
safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this was just he turns into blackface.
It's just
They
an
took
You see,
shoe
it's an
polish.
immediate shader change that just, he goes from one to
that
the
was
other
actually
as
something
soon as
that
he
was
hits that
missing
plane.
in Forbidden West when you would hide in like the kelp underwater, like an indicator of when you were and weren't visible.
They tell you it's someone, because again, this is a total distraction here, but like the Horizon UI is so handholdy. It will tell you, it just says you don't have to know. If you're in kelp, you're always hidden. They could be literally staring right in front of you, and so long as you're in the kelp, you cannot be detected. Because they don't have any of that bit of subtlety. But there'll be a bit of text that says hide in the kelp to be completely hidden from enemies. Totally different
Yes, but
topic.
what I'm saying is the game would have been better if Aloy did blackface while she was in the kelp.
I mean,
I endorse that.
she's a white woman doing indigenous cosplay, so
Yeah.
people have
Close.
made that discourse before. Like you're not far off of what real people have actually said. Um, or what do they say? It's like she's indigenous, a white woman who's indigenous coded or something.
She's Rachel Dolezal.
Don't hate
Uh,
on my girl,
I
Rachel
mean, is it?
Dolezal. She is a queen.
She is a white savior, more or less.
She's an
Absolutely.
OnlyFans star now. Oh, you were
Uh,
talking about Aloy. I was talking
They
about
were-
Rachel Dolezal.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if
How
someone's
do
going to
you
use
know
an
that?
AI to eventually get like video game characters as like a VTuber
I mean, Rule
thing
Rule
that you can put
34
on.
already exists, so
Yeah, I'm thinking
But
it's going to go one step further with the use of AI. You could,
Develop a parasocial relationship with it.
yeah, exactly.
but so the mechanics themselves were just like unusual for that type of like stealth game or like adventure type game. So they did have like vines and handholds to show you where to climb. They also had wall running, but the biggest thing for me is when you wall run, you didn't have to jump into the wall run. You just sprinted, and once
you just run
like
directly at the wall.
directly at
Just
the
run at a
wall.
wall.
So I kept fucking up at first because in my head it's
Matrix
sprint at the
style.
wall, jump to get onto the wall and run across. So I kept like jumping into like this pit and I had to like fucking climb out and go again.
He had in less than an hour, he had so many fucking like glitches, visual glitches,
Yeah,
artifacting, screen tearing. Like it
I
I
was
started
just
playing on high
bad.
and then put it on medium, and arguably medium made the glitches and tearing and shit worse.
It
Brother,
Was
your computer is not meant to play things on high. You really need to tone that one back a little bit.
Yeah, I play games on
Oh,
high
I play
sometimes.
games on high all the time.
When I'm just playing a game,
Yeah,
when I'm not streaming or doing anything else, I'll play games on high, and I have no problems. I'll monitor stuff. Temperature never creeps above like 70 degrees, and that's
Elden
even
Ring last
high.
night.
That's even high.
Elden
That's
Ring may have
even
been on high last night.
No
I mean, if
way.
you check.
you played more Elden Ring? Nice.
Yeah, I'm becoming a lord.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Rather than
You're
watching
indoctrinating him.
another painful movie. Last night
Painful.
Well, Avatar
yeah.
wouldn't have been painful.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah,
That
I
was our
would
other
have
option.
I would have enjoyed that.
I was about to evict you out of the waters of Awa, my
Yeah.
friend.
Oh,
It's gonna make you have to
Hey,
re-bless,
I've seen it twice already.
rebaptize.
I've
So
seen it twice already.
send the orcas after you. White Gladys.
does
Oh my god.
does Gollum just look as bad as
Oh
he
my
Yeah,
god.
is?
yeah,
It like
yeah.
always that bad?
Always,
Oh, it's
always that
Oh,
so
bad.
bad. And
oh,
Even in the pre-rendered like cutscenes,
really? Oh
terrible,
man.
terrible. No difference. You can't tell that it's a cutscene, and then it's like should be pre-rendered
the best looking
Right.
bit were like the stylized like stills in the intro.
in the beginning.
It was
Yeah,
just like artwork, it's like
but if
a
they made
stylized
that
bit
the
of artwork.
game, it was stylized like that, it'd be a bajillion times better.
I just don't know. Like, I just don't know who this game was really for.
It would be
Ben
a fun
Wiley.
game if it was like, done well. The concept is cool. The sneaking could have been cool.
No,
The stealth
I
type
think
stuff.
the some of the ideas are solid, and I had even heard. I mean, obviously, we did not engage with it nearly long enough to determine this for ourselves, but from what I had read by like some quote unquote serious, Tolkien heads, that the story is itself pretty good and engaging and is the best part of it, but like to get through it is like challenge level impossible.
Even the
Get
story
your
bits that we saw, like, I think it was well done. The one odd thing was, and it took me a while to figure out, it kept the subtitles, like the text, it kept saying like Gollum parentheses off and then wizard, who was Gan uh
yeah, it's
I almost
Gandalf.
said Gandalf. It would say
He
like,
is a wizard. He is a
yeah,
sorcerer
it would say
of the
wizard
time.
off, but then sometimes it would just say Gollum. Um, it was to denote that the speaker, because you're telling the story to Gandalf in the prison. You're like in a prison cell. So you're telling
You've
him.
been imprisoned by the Wood Elves of Mirkwood. It's like after he's escaped Mordor and all the torture and all that, he's captured by the Mirkwood Elves. Gandalf shows up and is like interrogating him, and
So the
yeah,
off.
Gollum is retelling the story.
So the off portion is to denote that it was the characters in like present day in that room speaking, as opposed to Gollum when he was like speaking in the memory. But
Oh, like off screen.
I guess it's an
yeah,
accessibility thing. It's for those with audio difficulties, auditory difficulties, that like that way they're not confused. It's like, why do I hear that there's a voice going, going when I don't
While I'm
see anybody
sneaking.
and I don't see
Yeah.
somebody on screen, like to
Yeah.
try to be like,
but
oh,
it's just like
they're like, oh
that
no, we have
turn
so
to
many
use
other
it.
glitches. Like, make sure that these people don't think that this is a glitch too. Know that that's a feature, not a glitch. Because he had one thing. This is again a common thing. He had a bit of text that got stuck
Oh yeah,
on part of the screen.
Oh,
it was like don't let the orcs see you.
Yeah,
Or
it was like
some
an
shit.
instruction of some kind that got an objective thing that got stuck on screen
For like
for
a good 10
15
minutes.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough. It was rough, folks.
It
how
would
many
go
times?
away when another text would appear, but then
And
when
then come
that
back, and then come
text,
back.
yeah,
Perfect.
the,
How many times
Every
have you begged on your knees?
I
I don't
got
think he
punched
got
in the face.
Okay.
No, it's you get punched. He got killed, but you got the kill animation where they just bonk him on the back of the skull.
And the orc's hand doesn't even
Never,
make contact.
never makes contact. It's just
Not even close. It's like, a good,
Oh, no.
what would
It's
be like
very
6
funny.
inches away or something.
It's very funny. Yeah, just like on all levels of execution, it is just like, who thought that this game could be released? That's my question. Is like, not like who is this for? Stealth games are on the decline in general. Which maybe we'll see a resurgence with one of the announcements from the PlayStation Showcase, but I don't know. Like it's not that like the people aren't there. The Plague Tale games are largely stealth games. They have been successful. Like, not to say that those have been mechanically truly groundbreaking in any ways. They're not really doing a whole lot new with the formula, but like there is an audience for stealth games. So that's not my question of like who is this for. It's just more like how is this allowed to get sent to the door, right? My one thing is probably it's like the production of this. It's a small team. They could have probably eaten the loss on that. It's the marketing that they spent on it. They did a huge marketing push on this
They
game.
also probably could have eaten the loss on
You're
it
right.
if they had good project management that could have acknowledged early on that this
right,
was
right, because it got
effort.
delayed. It got delayed what, like 3 times?
Yeah. Like if I'm talking about like real early on, like year and a half in, if you're looking at the like where you're at pre-dev wise, if you're like, okay, this is just not where we want to be. This game is clearly not like actuating what we want our vision to do. Like we need to just shut it down and like try something else. Like you could probably eat that loss right there and move on and still be okay as a small company.
Yeah,
but the fact that they let it
successful game,
they basically let it fester as a bad project that they couldn't get away from, and they let it just go on for so long and just eat so much money.
You've gone too far.
Yeah, no,
they go so far that they
past the point of no return,
and they have to
had to release it.
But like they have to commit even more. They've got to double down with like that insane marketing push.
Yeah,
like they've spent millions of dollars on marketing.
They really did. You're not wrong about the marketing push, but
it's not like you didn't see. It's not like you didn't see this game. It's not like you didn't that it came out of nowhere.
No, and the fact that they released it with what Gollum looks like in comparison, and like hearing you confirm that that's how he also looks in the cutscenes in comparison to their marketing materials. Like I always expect a little bit of drop off, but like the cutscenes should be pretty close in my mind. And that looks like a 2 generation of console difference between what
it's
he
like
looks like in the
games.
Yeah,
it's like PS2 games.
It's closer to like a PS3 game.
No, but it does. It legitimately looks like a PS3.
Like.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's definitely a PS3 game for sure. And like the amount of times, this was another one. When you jump from a vine to a handhold, if you like jumped past it, instead of kind of like arcing and then going to a further spot, you would just like glitch and like
rubber band to it. Just goes yoink. Nope, that's not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, just fucking terrible.
The memes have come out of this are so funny. Like
give head.
Yeah, like there are just so many good ones that are coming out. Like it's already kind of reaching the meme status, absolutely, but like it's gonna potentially, it's been like trending for like every day since it's been trending on Twitter every day since its release. There's the chance that like it's going to get some type of cult status, that you're going to see like a ridiculous modding community where like turning this assets into like a fighting game or something,
or like just making better Gollum models to be in game.
I get Gollum. Get out.
Gollum.
Yeah,
Gollum.
This is not a a Hebraic construct made of clay and animated with a magic scroll.
Hold on. Side note, we leave this in if we want, but Andrew, we've broken Matt's brain twice this weekend. One with the fact that Anya Taylor-Joy is Latina, from Argentina specifically.
Yeah, she's
and
Argentinian.
because we watched the Mario movie.
Oh,
and then Matt
nice.
also learned what a moil was.
Ah,
He's learning all the Hebrew magics. I'm imparting my wisdom from
the dream profession that I unfortunately was not born to do.
No.
but yeah, that's a bit of a digression. Um
Actually, that is the mortal enemy of this podcast, as we are intactivists.
uh-huh.
Speak for yourself.
So what was I saying about Gollum before you sent us on that wonderful little tangent? The
Just doing so much work.
the modding
community.
space
Yes, I
and
cannot
what
wait.
No.
like I think there's going to be some
Cursed.
funny stuff that comes out of it. Like it's not going to result in any type of financial success. I really do think it is going to be the Morbius effect rather than something that actually makes it even down the line financially solvent, I guess. Because Morbius was a memed to death thing, but that didn't result to more money.
Memed back
Yeah.
into the theaters
to bomb once again. So that's why it's the exemplar.
Because
It's
no
like,
one saw it.
It's so good.
You know,
It's so
all
good.
the people
Because the-
memeing didn't see it.
I mean, it's a dangerous model to chase because that's how you get like Renfield.
I don't think
and
that's
stuff
what
like
they were
that.
going for. I do
Yeah, I
not
don't
think that's
think
what
they
they
See,
were
like,
going
movies
for.
and stuff like that have done that. Like Renfield tried to be like a bad movie that gained cult classic because of like Nick Cage being Dracula. You're gonna get some
Yeah,
cool
but you could
out
do
of
that with a movie
and
that
it
you
made
can't
like
do with a
$17
game.
million on like a $60+ million budget or
Oof.
something like that.
Oof.
That movie got owned. No, I think you're right, Ben. It's definitely going to become a like a it could become a cultural moment and like have some people do
Someone
some
puts
crazy
Mario-
mods
We
and
are
like
we are going crazy here for a second. We are calling this game a cultural moment.
no, just an online moment. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It definitely could have
Hey,
like an
all
online
culture is
moment.
online.
But yeah, I mean, to me, that's
I'm
that's
just
the point I'm
making
at.
sure we're being level headed here. I mean, this is a game that I think in like
the
6
people
months,
are
people will
talking
forget
about
and have
the
moved
people
Yeah,
are
man.
No, absolutely. In
The
6 months,
people-
absolutely. But I could see this being like the online thing for like a month. And
See,
Is this going to be
like
2023's Harlem Shake? Is this
See,
the
because
or it
most
could be Harambe.
most games most games even
that's what
nowadays
started all this?
even good ones even good games are even good games aren't talked about past like that amount of time. You have to be like
Other than
you have to be
Elden
like
Elden Ring.
the Elden Ring, the Tears of the
Yeah.
Kingdom
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
type of
saying.
game
Like,
in order to actually
Fortnite was a cultural moment because Fortnite stuck the fuck around for like way longer than I expected.
Yeah, but
and
just
is
like-
still like you can
The fact
look at
it's
that
still
as like a
around.
video game changing point that has like created its own zeitgeist.
Yeah, but
It's
I
like-
think that's a different thing than like I think you could call this game a cultural moment. It is for like 2 months it will be memed, it's gonna be the meme of the summer. It's gonna be a meme format that'll probably last to some degree for a long time. So for
The
sure
hot
is
Gollum
like
summer.
as like a historian, this is like a cultural moment. Will it have like greater effects on other things? Probably not. But other than like memeing, but it's definitely still a cultural moment where a
The
large
meme
portion
moment.
of people, are going are memeing about it, are talking about this thing as a
I
in a
genuinely
group
don't
thing.
think that the memes and discussion from this will last past like 2 weeks. I
They
think
might
like
not.
2 weeks from now, the shiny new thing will be on the radar and people will be doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the possibilities are it's
This
about a
game
50-50
just
split
doesn't
for
like
me.
have enough retention power to make you want to like
Let's see if it's still trending.
what's
though.
the point of one to stick around in this for more than like fucking around for the first couple
The-
days?
The only reason I would say that it would stick around more than that is because it's a Lord of the Rings game. If it was like a random game, I would
I
totally
mean, Lord of the
agree, but I
Rings
think
fans right now are in a pretty bitter, shitty mood because Rings of Power pissed them off, and this isn't doing super well, and they're
yeah,
getting like 27 new Aragorn movies because
exactly. So they're gonna be pissy about it, and like that'll
That'll be
keep
sad
it
there.
keep it going. At
Lord of the
least
Rings fans
I'm
are
not
getting
seeing.
rapidly to the point of Star Wars fans where they're getting so much
Oh
excess
yeah.
they don't know how to feel anymore.
I'm not. It's so. Today is the first day I'm not actually seeing anything trending. I'm still seeing people that I follow, tweet funny shit about it. But it's no longer at like 40K tweets in the last hour about Gollum. But just it will stay in my mindscape for quite a while. It is. I hope the memes have some longevity just for my own bit of Schadenfreude, just to enjoy all the just to enjoy the absolute shit show that was this release. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has gone down a bit,
Should we
but it
move
has
on?
been it's been peaking.
Yeah,
I
they're
was
different.
looking. Sorry, I'm looking at the Google Trends on it. Um, and it's like it's peaking at night and like in the morning, going down during the day, and then it climbs back up at night. So
Because
it's literally
people,
just memers.
because people like when they're
Going
either
to school.
in the bout of their insomnia, it's like
Yeah,
let's meme about Gollum.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it's literally all the peaks and that it's by night it peaks, day it drops.
um,
Thinking about Gollum as you lay in bed,
Yeah,
slowly
but
trying
I
to
do. That's what I do almost
nightmares.
every day.
Yeah, yeah. Ben's contributing. Most of those that trending is just Ben watching
Mhm.
them. You're looking at that one meme over and over again and like pissing his pants.
No, I see a few. I've been engaging with a few other ones. They're all very good. But just
Con-
the
contemplating how we are all Schmeagol, slowly
yeah.
becoming our own Gollums.
Mhm.
I did the one choice I got to make, between Smeagol or Gollum, and then convince the other one to act accordingly. I chose Gollum, and we ate a beetle, um, and I had to convince
Kill the beetle.
Schmeagol that it was the right choice, and I like it. I'm
That little
honestly
hobbit bitch
curious.
didn't want to meet it.
I'm honestly curious about the um that system there though, because there was like Ben, I don't know if you saw like three attempts I
You
had
have
to make.
opportunities to convince, and if you choose the wrong option,
Yeah.
something else could happen. I
And
don't
I got all three
I
correctly.
question if it actually does have a whole layer of choice, whatever, because that just took you directly into a cutscene that seemed completely canned, and that's
Of
where it was.
eating the
That's where it
beetle.
was
Yeah.
because I don't think you actually got it. I think you're trying to get it, and you fall and break
Yeah,
something
you're right.
and slide
And
down. So
then
I think either way,
the wraiths or whatever
yeah,
get
I
you.
think it was going to go, where it was going to go no matter what. So it was potentially giving you the illusion of
Yeah.
choice.
No, but honestly, I think throughout the whole game, that's the only way they could do it, because they are in like a, in a sense, a preset narrative. It's just
Mhm.
whether, you
Yeah,
choose to do
I
it
do
as
not think
Smeagol or
this was
Gollum.
a branching narrative.
No.
No,
Um,
not at all. But it is interesting that you get to see the conflict within Smeagol and Gollum, and like how that plays out. Because I'm sure if I chose Smeagol and was able to convince Gollum, I might not eat the beetle, but I'm still gonna fall, and the wraiths are gonna find me, and we get captured, and all that shit happens. It's just like that one moment of difference, and who is making the choice there. Um,
we're also getting the illusion of choice is in the fucking Sony showcase. We were all deluded to believe that this showcase was going to be the biggest and best thing. We hadn't seen a full showcase in 2 years. They were going to show every fucking game that I have been waiting for forever, and then immediately everybody's expectations fell through the fucking floor. Um, there was like actually a good amount of stuff shown, but the majority of what it was is just like like announcements, CGI trailers, I'm scrolling through the list again of stuff. I think there were 2 release dates given, and one of them was for fucking Assassin's Creed Mirage. And all of these, pretty much all these games are all multi-platform things.
Yeah.
So like we're not actually getting a roadmap for what Sony's doing with their first party. And I think we need to hold their feet to the fire, just as we have for Xbox. That neither of them are really showing are really showing us that they've got things that are truly tangible. Because even fucking the big ticket item of Spider-Man, which they showed, in my opinion, showed way too fucking much of at the end. At the end, we didn't even get a date for that, when we know that that's that's coming. But like they can't even.
Well, I mean, you got a 3-month window, is what you got.
But like whenever they do something like that, that's gives them the leeway to delay with less backlash.
For sure.
Like Pokemon saying that it's going to be early 2023 for Pokemon Home.
That's the next state. That's the next step. It's like when you get like a season, that's a little bit more constrictive. But then then you get to the first half of financial year of 24.
Not even that specific. It's just early.
Yeah,
it's just early, and we're getting it tomorrow, I think. Or
they meant winter in the southern hemisphere, so you have it backwards. Actually, that's the problem there. But I was kind of like, the one thing we haven't talked about either that I found interesting, and I tried to find this article. I didn't actually send it, but there's like nothing really tangible outside of a few things that we've been told about for 2024 at this point, which I find fairly surprising. Like it's really like, we have the idea that the Elden Ring DLC will probably be 2024, but like I don't even, beyond that, unless like Starfield gets delayed, I don't know of anything.
I've definitely memory hold some things that are saying like, oh yeah, this is coming out 2024. But nothing like truly like major tentpole AAA that would have anything with that firm of a date. Because we there are things that we know exist, say like the Insomniac Wolverine game.
Yeah.
But who the fuck knows when that's coming out?
I'm curious.
People thought we were going to get information on that in this showcase, and people are insane. People like apps like one thing that this whole Fallout, and then seeing people react, like the Xbots react and be like, oh, they're doing the exact same thing.
Hilarious.
They're hyping up the Xbox showcase. We're gonna get Avowed. We're gonna get Fable. We're gonna get this. And it's like, fucking morons. But it's like,
haven't released a game they were supposed to release like 3 years ago.
I'm not blaming like Xbox fans there, like the like the real diehards there. It's this whole saga is just proving that gamers, TM trademarked, are fucking just big stupid, just real big dumb.
One of the things that I'm curious about is and I don't know how much this it obviously doesn't apply to Sony first party or like Xbox first party, but I wonder if other games are holding back for the Switch too, or if that being released in 2024.
So again, Nintendo's its own fucking beast. Who
no, I know,
regardless of a new generation of hardware coming out, they just hold shit back because they can't.
No, I know Nintendo does that, but other like third parties,
they're not scheduling around the Switch. The Switch it has a huge install base. Don't get me wrong, but like
third highest all time.
Yeah, it's like it's got an insane install base. Don't get me wrong; it's not like that's not a market.
I'm not saying that's like the only
in.
reason.
But
I'm curious if that's in the calculus.
They don't develop for that first, even though it is so huge. They do not develop for the Switch first the majority of the time. It's the other two.
I think
first,
it would be funny.
Switch.
I hope Xbox Showcase has like half of these games on it too. Like, I hope Microsoft was watching this and was like,
all of these summer showcases are filled out by a majority of multi-platform and indie titles.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's typically how they fill out these hour-long showcases.
Another thing that I'm curious about is how streaming, like, the switch to streaming titles are trying to get your streaming services running is having an effect on production of games, or just like the the priorities of the studios at this, what they are thinking is like a pivotal time in you know launching or ramping up their streaming platforms and gaming and things like that.
So you had said you don't know much about what's releasing in 2024. So I just did a quick little look to see what's like said a 2024 release date.
Yeah.
It's not very great so far. So I'm seeing like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Oh god.
Which just got more confirmations that micro is going to be just a microtransaction hellfest.
Like a
Wait,
Dragon.
did they? Sorry, hold on. Did they pushed it that far?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize it's a full year.
February to February? Is that what they pushed it to?
Yeah, that was the number. Yeah. Like a Dragon 8. Dragon Age Dreadwolf is technically locked into the 24 release.
That one's like, yeah, it's like that's a technicality because they put out some financial stuff and was like, these are the games that we know are coming out at this point. So people able to do the math and be like, okay, that Dreadwolf was not listed here, so that must mean the earliest it can come out is like April 2024.
Wolverine is slotted for Q3 24, which would be why if they're going to show anything, it'll be after Spider-Man 2 because they don't want to cannibalize on there.
I don't believe it.
Well, here's another one that I don't believe. Black Myth Wukong.
Okay,
yeah.
Here's one for you. Grand Theft Auto 6.
That's again that I've seen things being like, oh yeah, we'll see that one in 2026.
Yeah, I'm just going. This is
no, those are
through here.
None of that. So these are things, yes, on the radar, but like none of that's not real. That's not real.
Yeah, none of them.
Other than that,
certain.
Other than that, you don't really get too much else. That's
we barely have anything in the back half of this year.
Yeah, it's pretty real. It's
so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm curious.
I've got so many other games to play.
Oh, me too. But yeah, it's like we've got like on my radar, it's got like Armored Core, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16. I mean, Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 might come out.
That's the other one that's 2024-ish.
That's probably the most likely.
This winter, which would be like December through February and March time.
Which they could do December this year because they said the same window for Crisis Core, and that dropped in December last year.
That is an actual possibility, but I would think it's going to be next year just because I don't think they'd want to drop Final Fantasy 16 and then 6 months later drop Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth on top of that. I think they're going to want to.
Is fucking wild though. So
I know. I'm still waiting. They're gonna just show up one day and like randomly in a Japanese only Twitter tweet put out like Final Fantasy Tactics
remake,
HD 2D.
People thought that was going to get announced at this showcase too.
Oh, those people are silly.
They're
but
absolutely
what are these studios
insane.
doing? Like they have to be doing something. They have to be generating value.
First, I don't want you to say what is Square Enix doing. Square Enix puts out like fucking 12 games.
Yeah,
they're doing work. That's what I'm saying. That's why they're insane.
They got their fucking heads down, man.
Yeah, they're on their grind set. Their Sigma grind set. I'm not talking about them.
It's not
just
always great.
Like
they have hits and misses.
Oh,
but like Square Enix is one of the companies you can't be like, what are you doing? Because they're like, oh yeah, by the way, like 7 more Final Fantasy games.
Here's 5 games coming out within the next
Final
week.
Fantasy 50 through 60 will be.
Here's the remakes of 1 through 6. Have those. Here's a remake of some obscure JRPG we made for just the SNES in 1994 only.
It was a limited printing. Here you go.
Here's the unreleased CDI copy of a prequel to one of our most popular JRPG franchises of all time. Like wild. They are.
You can definitely say that about these Sony first party studios though. Like we got some glimpses here. Like we got the new things from
and we've read some stuff about like
and
the Last of Us factions got like
that game
retooled.
That's dead. I would put my money down that game is dead. I would
hope so.
That
I don't
Naughty
see
Dog's
how
going
it
to work
fits
on something else instead. They're because they basically said it's like, okay, we're reevaluating. We'll have a core team looking at that, doing that reevaluation.
Yeah,
The
because
majority of
Bungie looked at it and said that there wasn't going to be player retention and that it wasn't going to have enough staying power as a multiplayer title.
see, that's the next bit. It kind of snuck by most people because they were just teaser announcements, CGI trailers, no gameplay, no dates, no nothing.
Live
And it's
action,
not
live action, live action.
and it's not what we're accustomed to for Sony first parties, but like they in a way did lay out what the next stage of
Yeah, because we saw like
Sony
Fire
games.
Sprite, we saw
So
Bungie.
you've got a bunch. So it's like you've got a bunch of these live action games that are or not live action, live service
Live
games
service.
that are coming. You've got like the fucking Bungie announcing a new marathon game that's
Marathon,
a fucking PvP extraction shooter. You've got
Home
Haven doing
Stars.
Haven doing their what's that called? Fair game. It's like a heist
Yeah.
PvP game.
Which is probably going to be like you get like teams of 3, like 2, 3, 4 of them on a map, and you try to pull the heist off before the other teams or something like that, but
Yeah.
you don't know because it was all CG.
The one that everybody's joking about is the Foam Stars. It's just Splatoon, but with foam.
You see, we laughed about Splatoon too, and then that took off because of the Nintendo handheld edition, because Japan loves them the handheld.
but I think I think it's a fair question. Like, why are, I don't know. To me, this feels like they're starting to change how they roll these things out because they're like, we're sick of the backlash. Like, we can still make the amount of money with doing this in a little bit of a slowed manner, maybe. I don't know. Because it just does seem like they've kind of go back like a couple years ago and we were getting some crazy pronouncements.
Starfield,
Like
Halo,
way ahead of schedule announcements.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Sony
maybe that's starting to change a little.
Sony
bit.
has enjoyed the longer marketing cycles that end up creating the toxic environments for development that is not a good thing. If they're moving to smaller windows, that would be good.
You say not a good thing, but it's good for my mental health to be able to threaten the life of the families of these developers. Tell them that if the game does not meet my expectations, I'll burn down their buildings.
So for some of these, just like some of these studios have been working on shit for a long time, for a long time, and we're not seeing what they're producing. We're not at the Xbox state of things yet, but I could see it tipping that way after this. Just the fact there were the things that they did show, because granted, this information that we let ourselves get the hype built up and all our expectations raised.
I stand by the fact that
we're all based off of leaks and stuff, like saying like, this number of, like, there's I can't tell you who they are, but I've got like, you got like 2 hands full worth of studios, first and third party and all this, that are have games done and ready to go. Like they've got the stuff there, so they're purposely being cagey about showing.
I was even more thinking just like, I feel like the reception of the showcase would have been different if people didn't know that Metal Gear was going to be there.
Sure.
Like if Metal Gear showed up unleaked, unannounced, I think the hype for that would have been different for people. It's different once you know it's going to be there and you're expecting it versus
you're expecting it, and then all you get is a CGI teaser.
Yeah.
And then a ton of Spider-Man 2.
My God, that was,
which was also like, if you were going into that not expecting to see Spider-Man 2 in some way, shape, or form, you were also an idiot.
No, everybody knew, like every spec, even all the ridiculous speculation I saw, knew that Spider-Man was a lock.
Because that's the big thing they have coming out the second half of this year that they want to promote and talk about.
Yeah, there were plenty of these indie things as well, which are great. Like we've been talking about how real creativity and real actual interesting gameplay is coming from indie studios. So glad to see, big name, the big name publishers, putting the spotlight on them. That's always good. That's cool. There were a few of them that were standouts, but like again, say Plucky Squire is one that we've known about. This is nothing new. Like I don't
Just
necessarily.
it still locked in a 2023 release date for Plucky Squire, which was not expected.
I hesitate to call any of those type of vague
No,
commitments
I'm
to
just
be a
saying that
lock-in.
they hadn't given a year previous to that, so they were trying to. It appears that they're trying to say like, "Hey, we're going to have this out, sometime second half of this year." I didn't think it was coming to consoles either. I thought that was a PC.
To me, that seems like a great Switch game, so I'm not too surprised about that. And Devolver does a pretty good particularly they seem to have a pretty good partnership with
I mean, that's not going to be
Nintendo.
a very intensive game to run.
No. Looks gorgeous though in both the 2D and the 3D aspects of it. Again, one that I have since it's first showing
Devolver Digital Showcase.
last year. I it remains at the top of my indie list. So what were the few standouts, for everybody? I mean, I don't even need to ask you guys this. We all know we watched together live, folks. You can go check out our live streams either on twitch.tv/camping comrades or over on our YouTube channel. But yeah, we were all gushing over Phantom Blade Zero.
Mm-hmm.
It was the standout by not just for us. The internet, it was the internet was all talking about. It's like this combat looks insane. That we since that release, we've gotten a bit more information on the combat system itself, which sounds interesting. Sounds like there's some possibilities for creativity, but also a way to make it to make that crazy looking type of combat accessible to a larger variety of players without doing things necessarily like sliders. So what they've described it
Following
as
the
is
Elden
like
Ring model.
it's like you can edit these like combo strings together that then you are executed with simple button executions, but like you can get super creative with how you're with that kind of editor, with how you're stringing the combos together, so that there is a very high skill ceiling, that you can do some
Pretty
cool
cool
shit with it, but you're able to, for those who maybe are not as savvy with action, strong, fast-paced action combat, that you can still play through it and enjoy it. That it is still at its core a hack and slash, which is not a bad thing to me. I enjoy hack and slash games.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. I think it looks cool. I like that they actually used in-game footage. That makes me feel a little bit more confident in it in a way
all
that
that shit
others.
was in engine,
Yeah.
just slightly tweaked with the camera. That was the only change that they made.
But yeah, that was definitely my highlight. I'm also excited for Metal Gear Solid. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I knew it was
collection.
coming,
As Matt and I are most
Yeah.
excited for is the collection of the
Absolutely.
originals. And
absolutely
particularly, it's coming in a physical version. Oh hell yes! I'm so excited.
Yes.
Particularly after also
Catch me streaming Metal Gear Solid 1 when that comes out.
the caveat of Alan Wake 2 going digital only. It's just like, what the fuck?
And then I liked THQ Nordic
They
coming
were
in and being
trolling
like,
them, yeah.
yeah, being like, we published the discs for the like Alan Wake 1, like we can do it again.
It's just like,
well, I think we should move on to our favorite portion.
oh my god, you're gonna make me have a fucking brain aneurysm.
I was gonna say we were gonna say the things we liked, and I think Dragon's Dogma 2
deserves that's one that I want to shout out to, because I really want to play the original Dragon's Dogma, which I own, and it is seeing that they are making moves on 2 that I will be moving that up to my queue. So I think that'll probably
Yeah.
be my next PC game after
There's
Automata.
some other cool stuff too, like Ghost Runner 2 was announced, and like Ghost Runner is a fun game. That's cool to get a sequel for that. We got the Talos Principle too. Talos Principle is a fun little puzzle, like very pretty game for when it launched. This looked
You're
just as
you're a
good.
you're a puzzling fiend.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily
That's
as
that engineering brain.
yeah.
That's what I'm just saying. I'm
No,
given the
no.
little
Give your
things that
flowers.
deserve
Give
their
your flowers.
yeah, giving my flowers out. Um, Neva from the Grease creator that had some interesting art
Sure, but
style.
yeah, art style looks cool. But it's just fucking just a pre-rendered trailer. No idea what that game is. Have, that's what it's like. Yeah, it looks cool. Like it looks aesthetically cool, but like I have no idea what the fuck that game is.
There were some weird ones, like the was it like the Towers of
Towers of
Agasasaba?
Ag Hasaba. Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks like a weird like Breath of the Wild clone.
yeah.
I'm actually say I am potentially interested in the Helldivers too, although
That's coming to PC as well, which is cool.
co-op is always hard, but in this day and age, who's got enough friends and enough time to play a co-op game? But I did love the Starship Troopers esque trailer, and the comedy was good, but
Ben froze for a minute.
Like there's
sorry.
some weird there's some love online for Immortals of Avium.
That's the
That EA original
yeah.
spellcasting first person.
Shooter,
Boo-hoo,
yeah.
not for me.
Yeah, there's like a contingency of people who have some like faith because they say like EA Originals has put out good content in the past, and it's not the same as like a Respawn or something like that, and how they work with EA. It's a different. It's meant to be a more indie focused
Is that who does
like offshoot.
Titanfall?
Respawn was Titanfall, right?
Yes,
That's what
Respawn
I
was
thought.
Titanfall, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
I mean,
There's like
Go
obviously,
to our major thorn.
there are some there. I mean, there's the fucking PSVR 2 games. Boo, get out of here. Um,
well, like there's the Cat Pirate game. That's just Cat Pirate.
uh,
Ultros. I remember thinking that looked pretty cool.
that's the trippy Metroidvania.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a person who took too many psychedelics in college and never changed their personality afterwards.
Yeah.
Very trippy. Trippy, man.
Like all the ones that like were like particularly the smaller stuff that was like I'm like, okay, that looks interesting in terms of art style and that kind of stuff are just that interesting. I don't know enough about them. They didn't give me any idea of what to expect, say, from a game like
Oh, it's just
Neva,
something to keep an
like
eye on for
like
when they do
the
their next.
Revenant Hill, the kind of spooky but like kind of playful cat game.
Yes.
The side-scrolling hand-drawn landscape.
Cat game.
Another
Cat
cat game.
Oh, the biggest announcement were the earbuds.
But yeah, I may get the earbuds. But like what I'll tell you I will not be getting is the
Sony
fucking
does good audio.
is the fucking Project Q. Oh my god. I'm going to have a fucking brain aneurysm. I am going to lose my mind.
I think
love that the initial thoughts are that the battery life is going to be like 3 hours long.
that is just fucking ridiculous.
that's incredible.
It's a fucking screen. It's a fucking screen. I mean, well, here's the thing. It's a screen with the DualSense, and the DualSense has a notoriously bad
so
battery life.
My immediate thought there goes to, so it's got to be really light then. There's not a lot of battery inside of that. It is just a screen module, the controllers, the battery from the controller, and then maybe just like an additional small capacity lithium ion cell for the screen itself. Like it's got if that's what they're going for battery life, that thing can't weigh a lot. Like that's got to be the trade-off they're making.
Little vibrator
Which is like,
battery.
why is that a fucking priority? You're not taking this out of your goddamn house. You know, you're
I
you're
mean,
playing it on the
it's
couch.
a priority
You're playing it in
because
bed.
if the handheld's too heavy, you're not going to want to hold it.
The Steam Deck's fucking
it's so
heavy, but it's fucking
stupid.
portable. You can take it everywhere. It's not that heavy.
I mean, the
It's
Steam
so
Deck is pretty
funny.
heavy. If you pick
It's
up a
pretty
Steam Deck
heavy,
compared to
sure.
a Switch,
Absolutely, but if you pick it up on your own, you're like, oh, okay, I was expecting it to be much heavier. But like, and like, yeah, it's an issue. But like, when this is like a stationary portable, essentially, it's just like, who fucking cares? Like,
Yeah.
oh
Give it
my
give it a
God.
whole battery pack to last 24 hours
Oh
of
my God,
at that point. If you're
it's
I'm tethered to my home.
again, it's doing the feature of your fucking cell phone, and my cell phone battery can last longer than that. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
No, it's just you have to be on Wi-Fi to use it, and it is only gonna last 3 hours, but it's portable. You can bring it and play anywhere, guys. All right. Promise.
This is for put upon dads that have extra money. That's that's who this is for. This is for the kid, like
Yeah.
rich suburban parents who can't tell little Timmy and Susie fucking no, you can't watch Coco Melon for the 16th straight hour on our home TV. So so I don't go and take the backyard and take my shotgun and put it in my mouth. I'm going to play a cozy farming simulator in the next sitting on the toilet in the next room where you can't bother me.
yeah. There's also the other
Louis
slightly less
distraction.
depressing niche of just the couple without the children who the wife wants to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians on the TV, and the husband wants to keep his sanity, so he's he's got his handheld on the couch next to her, so he's still spending time with her, but he's gaming.
Yeah.
Would be the slightly less depressing version of that story.
No, I'm not. I won't lie. If this thing comes out and people say it works pretty well on Wi-Fi and it costs under $150, I will buy one. It could.
It will not. It will not.
It could.
$150 is where I think
it could.
It
could.
In another
$150
timeline,
is the
maybe.
basement of where I think the price could actually be if they wanted to be an actual product that people buy.
But
Yeah,
they
that's
don't.
what I
They
think.
don't.
That's what I agree with.
$189.99. My floor right now is $189.99. They don't go
Very
lower.
well could be.
I think
See,
that's
the reason I
the
look at it that way
absolute
is
lowest.
it doesn't have any of the DualSense Edge support to it. So it has none of the DualSense Edge additions to the controller. So it is literally just a $70 DualSense.
But you are
split in
not the
half.
average consumer, and you're not Sony making.
No, I'm not.
You're
at the market
a savvy
saying,
consumer. You are a savvy consumer.
We can
who
milk
understands.
these idiots. We could charge them $300 for this stupid
You're not
fucking
going to
thing,
see it
and
charged
people are
for
going to buy it.
$300.
No, he's being
understand.
hyperbolic. He's being hyperbolic there.
I know.
It will not
but
hit
it'll be
the 300.
I'm just putting this out there for the people who think that that's an actual possibility. $300 is what the Xbox Series S costs. They're not going to charge $300 for an accessory to their $500 console that is dependent on you having the first one already. The PSVR 2 costs $500 because that's what the accessory itself has to cost for that. That's what VR costs. This is a DualSense controller split in half with a screen and a tiny extra battery pack.
I understand, but it's not going to be $150.
And it's a 1080p screen.
I think it's less likely to be $150.
This is not a 4K screen. This is not 1440p.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Panel.
Most people don't know what those numbers mean. Most like your Rube consumers don't know what those numbers mean.
The Rube consumers are out there and they're saying like, "Oh, I want a Switch that has a 4K screen." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. You want something that has 30 minutes of battery life." and will physically feel like you're holding the sun while it is running. Like there are people out there who genuinely believe that a 4K handheld is like a possibility on the next Switch, and I'm like, you're an absolute rube.
God.
If you think the screen on the next Switch is going to be 4K, if the next Switch is anything, it is 1440p at best.
Yeah,
you can't even visually see the difference between that and 4K on a Switch screen. Like,
No, 1080p is kind of the perfect threshold for like an 8-inch screen for gaming at that point. For like where you're going to be playing it, because you're not putting that up in your face. Because at that point, just put it on the TV.
no, I will be very interested to see where the price comes out. Like, I do think you're
That's
probably
my
right. It
entire
will
point
be
so far,
higher, but
is
I
that the
just
price
don't
point is
know
the
where it's going to
entire like price point is the biggest indication of how this product will like perform
Yeah.
for me. Like if they
Oh,
come
yeah.
through it, like imagine if they came through right now and like, yo, this thing's going to cost $100. It's going to be a lot different reception than if like, yo, it's 250.
If
You know
if
what I
it's
mean?
$100, it's going to sell a ton. Like, there will be a ton of
Because
sales at $100, like something
the
like
market
that.
of having the actual DualSense controls on something that is air quotes mobile is pretty cool. Because like right now, if like you use the backbone controller, that doesn't have any DualSense haptics to it, and that's just kind of like a phone slide on edition. It's kind of, I've heard, doesn't feel super good when you like actually use it.
How much was
So
the
dumb, though.
DualSense Edge, like the Pro
DualSense Edge
controller?
is, I believe, 180.
Okay, so I think it can't be cheaper than that.
Yeah, no way.
It doesn't have any of the DualSense
That's
Edge
probably
Doesn't
true.
features.
matter.
It
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
because
That
it is a
absolutely does not
premium. It
matter.
is a it is a premium. You know, basically, I'm kind of putting it on par because it's like
180.
it's a premium, you know, controller type thing. You know, like
Yeah, but you don't use
system.
it with the console. Like the DualSense Edge is meant to be used your experience on the TV. Like you can't play on the TV with this. There's been no indication it can be used
Yeah,
as a
but
standalone controller.
you're trying to compare the technology, and that's not what consumers and Sony are going to be comparing. Like
Yeah.
they're like what Ben is saying, this is a premium accessory to go along with the PlayStation 5. Whether it's a the DualSense Edge that you could only play on the TV, or the Project Cube Queef that you could only play, tethered with the PS5. It is an accessory that the one with the screen that is more like something that is $300 elsewhere is not going to be less than the controller that is $180.
The only way it comes close to that is if when they come out and give us more information, if it's running Android OS.
No,
has a standalone operating system that treats it like an actual tablet.
It won't be 300. It won't be 300, but
It
I
may
don't
not be
think it's going to be
300, but
below
it's not going to
180.
be
Then.
less.
I didn't
It won't
realize
be
that.
less than 180.
I didn't
It will
realize
not
it
be
was.
less than
I didn't
180.
realize the Pro was 180. I thought
That's
that
why
was
I'm
cheaper
telling
than
you
that.
250. 250.
No, that's
I think it'll be like 225.
But again, we
I'll
failed
go
to
to
recognize that
225.
Sony will
It's
do the
crazy.
most stupid decision possible.
Yes,
That's
and
also
they'll
true.
price it crazy. They're never going to come close. I don't think they'll come close to 200 now, knowing that the Pro, the Edge, whatever, the DualShock Edge is 180.
I'm just telling you from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah,
what they have done with their engineering team is not an expensive kit of stuff. They make a good profit off the $70 price point of that controller by itself.
But they're capitalists. They want to make the most profit. And if people in the
you
media,
make more profit if more people buy it.
Yeah, but
again, there's a price point break where you get your perfect sweet spot, where you're getting premium enough that people on the underside can still afford it, but at the point where people above will buy it without second thought.
That's not how capitalists in the
I mean, that is
think.
no. Well, that is how a pricing model works. That is how pricing.
Said I will willingly put my money where my mouth is and give you $100. I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. You can give me 50 back, and I'll give you 100 if it is under $200.
I don't think it'll be under 200.
I would put the media is making the comparison. Flat. I would.
Yeah, but you're talking about the media. These people are fucking idiots when it comes to this stuff.
But people listen to the media. People listen to the media. People are idiots, and they don't understand the difference between a 2K screen and a 4K screen, and the limitations of the hardware.
Sony marketing is looking at what's then the reaction to these speculations, and what are the consumer
speculations. They won't release it, right? Because they'll see that people don't want it. Like that's what.
No, they're committed there, but there's like, what are people's expectations? How are they responding to the expectation of this price point? Because if we think that they know, oh yeah, the fucking the media right now is carrying water for us, like they are they're doing our job for us. They're setting expectations so high so that
Or
yeah,
they,
if we
like,
go
told the media
if we
to.
go slightly under that, like people would be like, oh yeah, it's a fucking great deal. I don't know. I think
That's
200.
exactly, I think, what's
I think
happening.
200 is going to be the most likely.
I'm just
I'll go
looking
to
at the features, and
225.
I am seeing a price point that falls at like 150, 165.
Well, that's what I would like
and
to
I'm
see.
not absolutely not doubting you that, like, that's what it should be.
And
I'm
that's
just
what it's
saying in
worth. And that's
reality,
what
yeah,
it's
and that's what it's
worth.
worth. In reality, it's gonna be. I'll settle on 225 as my number, right around, right there, give or take,
Yeah.
like $5.
I still
I
think
would-
it's going to come under the DualSense Edge. I think it's going to be priced
I think you're fucking crazy.
I'd be
I think that
surprised.
the
I think
I'd
we
be
need to
surprised.
institutionalize
you're
you.
buying. So if you're a parent, you're buying this for children. Are you going to be giving your kids a $200 thing when you could just go buy them a fucking a $60 Amazon Fire tablet?
I don't think this is for
And-
children. I don't think this is being
I don't
marketed
think
at the
this is
children.
either.
I think this is marketed at the parents. This is
In
being more
14
marketed
Just so
years
you
old,
can
again
deal
as
with
the
more
premium.
bluey on your screen.
Yeah.
This is like adolescence and up. This is like, a Christmas present for
it's a way to free
your
your
senior in high
PS5
school.
from the single screen it's tethered to without having to move it.
Yeah.
Is the idea behind it.
Which
I
is wild
think
to me. I would just be
regardless
like,
of
I'm
the
just gonna
price.
fucking move my PlayStation. It's like if consistently getting the fact that like nobody will let me play my PlayStation on this TV, then okay,
Well,
I'll
like
move the
maybe you don't
PlayStation
have
to
an
the
Buy
extra.
a TV.
Maybe you don't
That-
have an extra TV though. Like,
well, like so you're gonna spend.
But then you're gonna spend
money
even
on.
even if
well,
it's
that's what I'm saying. Like, it depends
$150.
on who they're looking at as the target for this.
They're looking at the broadest market possible. And I don't think putting it at 150 is gonna, like, help them hit that market or not. I think the people that have already paid for and have a PS5 have the disposable income to pay the 225 mark, and it's not in having it at 150 isn't.
I would believe that more
incentivize.
people would. I do believe more people.
100% more people would buy
it. If it's $100, even I would buy it, even though I think it's fucking stupid and probably would almost never use
at
it.
$100, but it'll never be that.
There's
low.
also one other thing
But what
we
I'm
haven't
saying is,
discussed
like,
yet.
hold on, but my other point is the only other way or reason you would want to price it that low is to get people that don't already have a PlayStation 5 to buy a PlayStation 5 and then also buy this as an auxiliary accessory that is, like, somewhat cheap. That is like buying another control, a second controller. Like, that's the only reason I would see putting it at the below 150 mark, if that is
an
profitable
add-on. It's
for
an
them.
add-on peripheral.
It's an add-on peripheral that is also going to incentivize people to buy the base console at 50, at $500, $600, and then also get this, because if they're just
Canadian
putting
money?
it. Talking what?
In some markets, it's up there.
I know.
now.
I was just it's 400 and 500, not 500
whatever.
and 600.
I always see it secondhand in the city, so it's 500 and 600.
So Matt, what was your next
The
point?
one thing that this thing has to do to exist and be a success, like have a successful reason for existing, is it needs to provide a latency free or as low latency as possible experience that you cannot get on a tablet or a phone.
Yes.
They need to somehow have a codec or something similar to, and this is a very fun comparison because the internet's having a good time with it, similar to how the Wii U gamepad worked. The Wii U gamepad had a really good streaming experience from the Wii U, and you could play games latency free on the gamepad, not on the TV, away from the console. Like, if they can provide an experience like that somehow, that makes it better than
people are doing the
phone or a computer or a tablet, that would be another.
People were doing the
reason
great meme again, like that I brought up to you guys yesterday, of like the 30 Rock bit of the redesigning the microwave, and it's like, oh no, we've invented the Pontiac Aztec. They're just like Sony. It's just like, oh no, we've invented the Wii U.
But like, that would be the only killer feature for it to exist wise that would make it make sense.
No,
if it provides
has
a better experience than streaming to your phone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then gives you the
that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. No matter. Yeah, that's the baseline. No matter the price. Otherwise, it's who else is this? Who is this for?
Because even the computer experience, like like forget the phone, even doing it on your computer on the same Wi-Fi is not something that I would say is a more than like serviceable. Like if you need it, it
I mean, I'm
works,
sure it's
but it is
also
not
fully dependent
great.
on how good your internet is. Like if you have multi-gig internet, it's probably a
Most
lot better
people, most people
experience.
in the United States do not have good internet.
Oh no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. I'm saying that's one of the big things with these streaming things. It's always dependent on how good your internet actually is for
Right.
your experience.
They said
Right. And so
they've
solving that's part of
claimed
it too.
you only need 5 megabyte per second download speed, but for a
Well, because they're also
a
only going for
superior thing, you need
1080p.
15.
They're only going for 1080p native on the handheld, which is I mean, that allows for some of that because you don't need nearly as much data back and forth between the two.
I'm
If
just going to be
if
fascinated where they price it. I
if there
really
was
am. I'm
if there
going to
was
be
storage
fascinated to see
if
where
there
they
was
price it.
storage space for this and I could download games from PS Plus and play them offline, I would absolutely buy it. I would spend $300 on it.
100%.
It's just
No
like,
doubt.
Yeah, but
why
I
the
think that
fuck
would be
can't I do
think
it?
that would be a different handheld altogether.
Right,
Because it would have to have its own dedicated processing power and ability
Right.
to actually play the games.
right.
And that would probably be something closer to a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally.
So
And that would come down to they would have to find a way to do like a license authentication from disc games on like your PS5 console and have it like authenticate for your handheld. Similar to how like if you're going on vacation with your Switch and you want to access your like Nintendo Switch online catalog, if you go on like you go online before you leave, you have access to it for a week before you have to do another online check-in to verify your license again. If they could do something like that using the disc version of the PS5 so that your disc PS5 catalog could transfer to a handheld where all you have to do is maybe do like a once a week check-in on your network that your like your accounts are lined up or something like that. That could be interesting. But I think that is a very complicated thing to work its way through right now because right now if you're doing a handheld that can play your console games, you have to find a way to make it work for people who have the physical media alongside
Or
the
just
digital.
or just say
Until it's
fuck
an all
discs.
digital future, and then all digital future, that becomes a lot easier because then it's just the Steam Deck, the way that things authenticate with your like save files over the cloud.
so so I just did a Google search to see like what the media is saying about the price. So we'll
Like
harp on this
200.
one more time. Yeah, everything is 200 to 300. Some of them are making the comparison to the backbone and then also the Logitech and then, putting this as like in the middle of them.
I think it'll be like 2 to 225 probably. I think it'll end up being in that area. I'm just excited. I'm just fascinated. I think if they really want this thing to sell, they need to price it lower than that. So I think it's going to be interesting.
I mean, it's what you do with consoles. You sell them at a loss to get people into your ecosystem.
That's
It's why PCs have
that.
a different model because computers are a whole different ecosystem and how they work with like Microsoft gets the cut because you're using Windows and you got all these different components that you're putting together. Whereas like a Steam Deck, because it's Valve controlled, again, they can sell the Steam Deck at a loss because they're pulling you into the Steam OS. They're getting all the cuts off the Steam purchases.
But and I agree, and that's why with this one, I don't think that they're thinking that price point for those reasons because they're not drawing any new customers in. You already have to
No,
have
this
a
doesn't need to be a
PS5.
loss leader, but it's just
Doesn't.
it's purely how much volume do they want to sell?
Because
They
it
have
comes down to
modeled
what
this
the
out.
idea was when it was brought to them initially. Like, what was the initial target group that they want this thing to be
I
for?
mean, their cap is the
Because what
existing PS5s. So they have to work back from there. What percentage of existing PS5 owners do they want to purchase
because this also
Because
leads
they
an
can't
interesting
think
thought
outside of them
where
buying a PS5
so
and then
follow
also
this
buying
thought for a
this.
second. CMA brought together the idea that cloud gaming has a lucrative future and that Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard would inhibit the growth of cloud gaming as a whole, right? So right now, this remote play handheld is dedicated to only playing remote play off of your PS5. What if this serves as a branching step for Sony, where you no longer need to have a dedicated console, where you can pay a subscription service to access a digital PS5 or something like that from their servers, and then you just have the streaming handheld or the streaming stick
Sure,
that you
but
plug in
sure,
and
why are
access.
why?
This could be a branching step for something that way,
But
where they're
if
setting
that's
up
the
for that type of a
case,
future with a pre-built accessory that utilizes it in the background.
if that's the case, and they then want to, dish these out beyond the existing PS5 owners, they're not going to set it at the low price now, because then they're going to have to drop it to then get those people in. So set it at your higher price when you know the sickos that are going to buy it because they already have a PS5, and like all the scenarios we laid out, buy it. And then when you want to draw in the people beyond the existing PS5 owners because it has PS streaming capability, then you might drop it below your 200 point. I don't think that they are in any way going to put it at like a loss leading capacity or a low number that
I think
they're
that
going to have
the
a
point
loss
of
on
loss
because
leading is a lot lower than people realize, because the
Yeah,
quality
loss
of
leading
what
would
they're
be like
adding in
under
there
100.
is not. It's like, again, they're making profit off the $70 controller. So what does the controller component itself actually cost? 35 or less.
Yeah.
A
They
1080p
would be
screen
like
you can get for $5. They're probably getting
loss
better
leading would
ones
be
because they make
very
their own,
cheap.
but they're probably getting that for like maybe a $10 component max, a battery, some manufacturing time. Like, we're
I
not
just think if
talking
they put
about.
it too low, it locks them in, and they don't have any room to go down to then
You see, but they have
incentivize
room to
more
go
people to
up
go
because
on.
they can offer a better model with a 1440 screen and
And they could still
bigger
do that,
battery and the
but they could
DualSense
still do
Edge
that at
paddles and
200. They could
like
always still go up. You
they
could
could go
always go
up.
up. You can't go down. You can't go
Yeah, but
down at a certain
you
extent.
could start with a lower tier model that hooks people in and then
I
go, oh,
don't
but
think
here's
that.
the pro model, and all the people that already who have the first one, who are into the ecosystem, will then be like,
Again, no,
oh, well, I
That's
want
what's
the
gonna
better
happen.
screen and I want
no,
the higher
you're
resolution and I want the
no,
better refresh rate.
you're giving Sony too much credit. You're giving, you're
But
making them think
again,
of the
like the
consumer too much. That they want
No,
short term,
that's
and
not
that's
thinking
looking
about the
way too.
consumer. That's making people buy two products because you got them.
But it's also thinking
something
long
they have
term in a
done.
way that they're not. Like they want the short term. They're
This is how they do their handhelds.
75%
They
of
release three
PS5.
different iterations of the Vita and the PSP in like a 4-year span.
Sure, and they're still gonna do that, but they're gonna start this one off at 200 plus
They
because
very well may, but they Mike, but like it is still like there is still a potential that their pricing model spit out something like it's not. I don't think it's probably unlikely for it to be below 200, but they are making money at like even
My
$100 if
only
they
sure,
point
want
I
stands
to.
at the
am
fact
not
that I
doubting
think people
any of
don't
that.
realize where the make money point is and how low that number actually
Yes,
is.
but I understand that, and I don't disagree with everything that you said about the specs and where it should be. I just think at the end of the day, they are going to put it at 200 plus because the media is saying that. The media is setting up the consumer for that. They, their target audience is only people that have enough money already to buy a PS5. And if they get 50% of PS5 owners to buy this at
That's
$200, that's
huge. I mean
fucking
I mean, there's
gangbusters.
no way there's
That's
no
I
way
know
they're
they're
gonna
going
hit
to hit
that
fifty,
number.
but
overestimation of
There's
attach
no way
rate by
it,
a
sure, but
magnitude of at least 40%.
just
there's no way they'd hit that
hyperbole,
many, but like even
but
if they
like
hit
Right, but that's
20%,
the
that would be
math they're
insane.
doing. That's what
yes,
their pricing
exactly.
model's
That's just my
doing.
math.
That's what their pricing model will do. I'm going to be fascinated to see what comes out. It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to destroy me to see this play out in real time.
I'm gonna laugh and play my fiddle like Nero burning, on top of the
It's
palace while Rome is
we just
burning.
knew
it's so
again.
As my
silly.
We knew that they
all
would
the
enter
Sony ponies.
if they re-entered the handheld market. It would be in the silliest
Sucks.
way possible. And
And
that
I've
has been
explained
borne
how
out
it makes
true.
no sense to try to make it work right now. Like the handheld that can play your console games fully, unless you are doing the Switch model where you have the cartridge that just works with the system. You're not going to put a disc drive on the back of a handheld. It's silly.
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back
It
to
just
selling
sucks.
selling
It just
UMD
sucks. Like
UMD discs, like UMD media. Hell yeah,
Yeah, UMD discs for 4K Blu-rays. Oh boy.
hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. All
We're
right.
gonna have to go back to the old mini hard drives from the iPod Classic days,
Oh my God.
where it's going to be this compact cube of layered magnetic discs to just hold all of that data.
Hell yeah.
And then if you slightly jostle it in your pocket, it will forever be damaged and never work the same ever again.
And also just like radiate your whole thigh.
Just
for
completely
keeping it in
radiate your
pocket.
balls, folks. All right. I think that'll do it before we come to
Why I'm
blows over
sterile.
the stupidest.
It's not coming to
decision.
blows.
So,
I'm just making
joking.
sure
I'm
that, like,
joking.
I'm just
I'm
making sure that my
joking.
perspective on like why I think things could play out a certain way is made out.
No, I think it. I don't know. I
Like if they
think
came out and they
it's
were like
realistic.
$100, you'd be pretty excited for that, wouldn't you?
I would grab it,
Sure.
absolutely. But like, but that's.
But if they came out and said $350, I don't think anyone would buy it.
Except
Yeah,
for
I'm not
except
saying
for
it's
the
300.
I don't even
except for
think the
media
extreme people would buy it at $350. I think it's a very hard sell, even for people like me.
350 would be crazy.
But you're a different type of the sickos. Like you're a reasonable
some
sicko.
yeah, you have some sense of reason. You have some self-control.
Yeah. More than most.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to see where it ends up.
Yeah,
It's going to be very fascinating.
Let's put a pin in it and see how it develops. Like it's
Campaign Comrades review of the Q-Lite handheld and earbuds coming your way on the launch.
It's so silly. We're being full on silly gooses here.
No, we're doing it. I'll get it and I'll review a copy. We can do it together, man.
All right. But that'll do it for us today. I mean, that's all we really had on the docket to talk about. Everything else was
It's a
just
full
extra.
episode right there,
Yeah.
regardless.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Like I said before, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Campaign Comrades, or go check out our content on the YouTube channel, just Campaign Comrades on YouTube.
Don't look into Anya Taylor-Joy's history and her family.
Yeah, don't be asking where her ancestors were in the early 1940s. We will see you in the next one. Good night, good gaming. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.